We are live. We are live. Welcome back to another episode of For Evan's Sake Daily. My name is Neodate Evans.
And I'm Nara Evans.
And we are bringing you the news from a parenting perspective. Today on the show, we're talking about Usain Bolt's missing millions. There's been a twist in the story of the missing couple. And there is another hair row in a school. And King Charles is apparently giving away some money. So we should all be grateful. And of course, we've got our parenting conundrums.
Yes.
Cool. So, Usain Bolt. This man is missing $12.7 million.
It's a sizable amount.
It's a very sizable amount. I mean,
I did gasp at first and then thought, but it's Usain Bolt. Like, he surely is on his way into becoming like a billionaire anyway with all of his investments.
So for context, he's not on his way to being a billionaire, but he is worth reportedly 90 million. Okay. So it's still...
Okay, that's a chunk. Yeah, that's more than 10%.
It's a sizable amount. I think the biggest liberty, do you know how much they actually left in his account?
How much did they leave it?
$12,000.
That's out of order. You couldn't even just leave him $1 million. Like, that's basically, we're cleaning you out.
What kind of sugary ridiculousness is that?
Yeah.
Like,
well, they obviously weren't trying to hide their crime.
Well, this is the thing.
You're going in.
Yeah. Like, at some point, you were going to get caught. And I think, so obviously an investigation has been launched. The company that's at the center of it is called Stocks and Securities Limited. They're based in Kingston in Jamaica. And they've already realized that Usain Bolt was not their only client that this has happened to.
Wow.
So somebody was clearly sleeping on the job whilst somebody was doing some road trading.
Absolutely taking from ham. And it's his retirement fund.
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, it's not like my man's going to have to go get a proper job.
I think so, because, you know, for some people, that would be, well, now what do we do?
Yeah.
But,
and there probably are going to be other clients who it's going to affect them a lot harder. But his lawyers have threatened the firm with criminal action if the money isn't returned within 10 days. And I'm like, nobody ain't returning that. That money's gone.
Well, maybe.
That money is gone and spent.
What this firm is and who they are. And if you're like, look, we got to get Usain his money. Yeah. They may do it.
What the craziest thing is as well is that I read that the firm itself actually is still open and running.
Really? Yeah, even with this going on?
Even with this going on. But what they have done is that the Jamaican financial authorities have said that we are temporarily managing you. So they can't do anything without sanctions from... But I just feel like you just have to close it down until you understand exactly what has happened, what's gone wrong.
So. And who it is.
And you know, but obviously I can't remember who it was, but there was an MP in Jamaica who's obviously in charge of that sector. And again, it's all about saving face, because his thing is like, I don't want this to reflect on the industry where there's like lots of hardworking people. And we get that. Yeah. We get that. But however, this is very significant.
Yes, it's not a little bit of money.
This is not a little bit of money. This is very significant. Somebody has taken the utmost mick. Yeah. And you need to get to the bottom of it, like ASAP.
Wow. 12 million. Yeah. Well, yeah.
But, you know, I wish I knew who did it. I might have to talk to them. Talking of stacks of cash, there's been an update to the story of the couple that went missing at the beginning of the year.
Yes. I think we spoke about them within our first week.
Yeah. So the lady had just given birth to a child, and her and her partner, they were somewhere up north around Manchester or Bolton, and they were kind of seen coming off a motorway and then disappeared.
Yes.
Yeah.
Their car broke down and it kind of blew up to some degree because there was a whole fire and they lost everything.
Oh, I didn't realize that part. Yeah. So there was that, and so they've been on the run, I guess, and they were last seen in good old East London, East Ham.
Just around the corner.
Not far from us, not too far from us.
Looking very suspicious.
Yeah, it's like they hadn't quite mastered the art of hiding in plain sight.
She had on the biggest like puffer. So I'm thinking it was so big because the baby was probably on the inside. Head like kind of wrapped in a scarf, like just looking very suspicious. He had on a hoodie, crouched. They looked. You would notice them.
Yeah, and especially the guy. He looks very menacing. He looks like Charlemagne's evil younger brother.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that was on January the 7th. We've come since to find out that the woman comes from she's an aristocrat.
Yes.
And just to give you an idea of the size of the family's wealth, in 2010, they sold the family's estate, which is in Dorset. From when you've got an estate and not even just a house, already you know what we're dealing with. But they sold that for 100 million.
Yes.
And yeah, so she's wealthy. She's wealthy. Now, the two of them, they met back in 2016. And friends and family say from the moment that they met, they then just kind of removed themselves from like society and people and
yes. All of her friendship group, nobody could really get to her. Yeah, he definitely. Well, it's appearing like she was normal, socializing, and then met him, and there was a lot of coercive control, and she's cut ties with nearly all of her friends and family.
And this is also where the really dark side of the situation comes in, because Mr. Gordon, who is 48, is a sex offender who served 20 years in a US jail for rape and battery.
Yeah. So when he comes here, would he still need to be on a register? Even though it was done in America when he was 14?
I don't know.
I thought that was interesting reading that. I was like, I don't know if they're just throwing that out there as well. Because also, on top of that, people go missing all the time.
Yeah.
And these are adults who have decided to not speak to family members and friends. Why is this such big news? Is it literally just because she's an aristocrat's daughter?
I think it's because she's an aristocrat's daughter. I think it's because of his history. And I think it's because that she's just had a baby. So obviously there's concern for the welfare of herself and the baby. But I hate to say it, if there was another couple and the woman wasn't as wealthy as she is,
just like
we
a
may not
standard
know about them.
working class couple, because there seems to be a lot of police looking for these two.
So we will keep an eye on this story and see how it evolves. Because it's certainly an interesting one.
It is an interesting one.
So moving on, there is there has been another hair row.
Yes.
In a school. This school is based in Kent. So a lady on Twitter, her name is Jade Samuels, at JadeS1986. And she tweeted and she said, "My child is banned from the school playground / canteen for her hair. It's neatly braided in a natural color. I gave them a lesson on the history of Black women's hair's cultural significance of braiding. They chose violence. Bishop Chancellor has a racist hair policy." She then went on to tweet, "She has to sit on an isolated table from everyone else at breaks because she has broken their, quote, racist uniform policy." And then somebody replied, "So because her hair's braided, she must eat or go outside." It's like,
Well, she obviously is allowed to eat. She's just got to eat in isolation. I would like to find out what their hair policy is, because the hairstyle looks fine to me. It's neat. It's not obstructing anybody. It's like having a ponytail, but with braids.
Well, this is what I was thinking, because I'm like, all right, so braids is a problem. Are pigtails a problem?
Well, just putting your hair back should be a problem then, because basically that's what she's done.
Yeah.
Her hair is back.
Yeah.
It's just back with plaits. So.
And I just think in this day and age, schools really need to do better. Because even when I was researching this story and I just put in like school braiding ban, I got stories from 2015. I got stories from last year. I got stories from 2017.
Every single year, usually when kids go into school, there is some type of, you're not allowed to do that with your hair. And there isn't any way around it. It is racist. It just is, because who has that hairstyle more than anybody else? It's Black people. But this is how we do our hair. So who are you to actually say how your hair should be done? Our hair doesn't grow all the same. So what you deem as like neat and tidy or whatever in your cultural lens perspective is not the same for Black people. So it just shouldn't be. You can't police our hair. I actually think it's disgusting. I think it should be illegal to actually do this.
But is there a line? So, for example, if we take a white child who comes in to school and they've dyed their hair pink, but other than that, it's in a short bob. Like, should that be a problem?
Well, you can say you can't dye your hair. Mm-hmm. That's fair. That's not cultural.
So, all right. So then if a child, I mean, I'm saying this, I don't even believe it myself, but if a child comes with their afro out, it's a massive afro. Is that a problem?
That's been a problem for loads of schools. But again, our hair grows that way. There isn't any, it's like it grows up and out. That is how our hair grows.
Which is the interesting thing, because our hair grows up and out. There are children who have gone to school with their natural hair like that and have been told off. So now you plait your hair so that it drops or goes back.
That's an issue as well.
That's an issue as well.
Yeah.
So short of
relaxing your hair and having it straight.
Or cutting it off.
Yes. And that's the thing, that is racism. There's just no way around it. It's oppressive that you're not accepting how somebody's hair grows and how they are choosing to style it. You have decided it can only be one way, which is a European standard. And we don't have the same hair. It's just like, it just beggars belief. But there's always this standard of trying to get us to assimilate and conform, which is racist. We are not all the same.
But then also, I think because we have been doing that for years.
Yeah.
Right? One asks, like, how have we played a role in this?
Well, there are loads of people that would, because they have other struggles. And depending on your family setup and what people believe, because they've been indoctrinated as well, people will conform. And, you know, for very many years, most people were having relaxed hair. And now we know that that's caused cancer and various different things in Black people. So, no, it's like, firmly support this mother for being like, okay, I'm going to take this to social media. I'm going to fight you on this. And I'm not taking these plaits out of my child's hair. Wow. Her hairstyle is no way distracting to anybody. It looks neat. It's tidy. Her hair is out of the way. There shouldn't be any reason for it to be like, this is offensive.
It's amazing that we're still doing this. And I don't know what it's actually going to take for like the needle to shift where schools...
I think it has to be the education secretary's got, like, somebody has to write this in that schools cannot do this.
Did you have like experience anything like that when you was at school?
No. And the majority of girls in my school had relaxed hair. Yeah. So I'm of that generation. There wasn't really... No, I probably started plaiting my hair. Maybe we were about 14, 15, and we would have our hair like Jade.
Yeah.
And up. This is the thing. It's like we had big braids.
Yeah.
Up, out. No, there was never anything. It was more nose rings and stuff like that. You definitely couldn't dye your hair, because I had a friend who dyed her hair pink and had to... Obviously, she had dyed it, so it had to, had to wait for it to wash out and everything. But yeah, she was in isolation. She had to do the isolation thing. But, you know, she wanted pink hair. She got pink hair. She dealt with the isolation. But you knew that. But yeah, there wasn't anything on braids. Because again, that to me, it is just out and out racist. And this is in the 90s. So that we're still doing this in the noughties. And yeah, that's terrible.
It's funny, the light is throwing some mad shade on us at the moment.
Yeah,
but it's interesting. Anyway, we move. So our beloved King Charles, he's so lovely. This man is so caring. He has decided he's going to give the people them some money to the tune of £250 million. Okay, so what has happened is he's redirected a £1 billion wind farm profit. So he's had this windfall from a wind farm of £1 billion.
No, they're predicting it.
Are they predicting it?
They're predicting that in the coming year, if it all gets sold in the right way, it will bring in £1 billion.
Okay, well, so the headline that I took read, King Charles redirects 1 billion wind farm profits towards, quote, public good. Wind energy agreements have generated windfall that would normally go towards the monarchy. So either way, there's this set of money that usually goes towards the monarchy And he's saying, actually, no, that can go to the people and can be used towards good causes and whatnot have you. I want to go on record for saying now, nobody anywhere, or that you and I know, will feel even the breeze of this money past their face. Like, you will not see.
I was reading another perspective on it, and that this is classic PR. And when you go into, so they've laid out what is actually happening.
Mm-hmm.
And so there is this predicted windfall of money. But also there has been talks within the government that this windfall that goes to the royals for their upkeep goes between 15 to 25%. The last time it was on 25% because there was less money. And that they were considering cutting it back down to 15%. And if they did that, that 10% would be the 250 million, which King Charles has no say-so on if it goes up or down, and has no say on if it can be redirected. This is a company thing.
Yeah, because the Crown is a separate company.
And he doesn't have any control or influence over it. So it's classic PR.
This man is a puppet.
To get in front of it, to say this is what he's going to do, because everyone would be like, oh, look at what King Charles is going to do. So it's like a good news story, but the money thus goes back into whatever they're going to spend tax money on. Like, it just goes back into the budget. It doesn't, he can't say, I want this money to go towards school meals. He can't say that.
Yeah, no,
he would need to give his own money to do that.
And this is why I say nobody's going to feel anything, because it needs to go to the government, and then the government was like, the Treasury says, thank you very much.
Yeah.
And then obviously it's down to them to...
The Treasury will put that money wherever they're going to put it, and it'll probably go on arms, or it will go to Ukraine.
Yeah.
So this story that, you know, the papers have picked up, going through all of the front covers, it's either he's on like the side or Kate's on the top.
Yeah.
Visiting
They're going hard. They're going hard.
So it's like the PR campaign that the royals are running. I was like, okay, so this week you guys are in full effect.
It's interesting as well, because there was an MP who was on the front of the papers today who basically had turned around and said that a nurse earning an average salary of £35,000 a year who has to go to a food bank is not budgeting correctly.
Yes. And he really said that, and he's doubled down on
he's doubled down on it?
He's doubled down on it as well. And like literally being like, yes, I said that. I'm not saying that they're not hardworking.
I said what I said.
I'm saying it's a budgeting issue that you have.
Okay, so let's break this down. £35,000 a year. That I think is around £1,600 to £1,700 a month.
You mean after tax and national insurance?
Yeah.
I think it would be a little bit more, but
all right, but it's not £2,000.
No,
you don't clear £2,000.
No,
right?
no.
So, average monthly payment on a mortgage, I don't know. Depends when you bought, but
let's say it's probably going to be about £1,000.
It's going to be about £1,000.
Or if you're in London, depending on where you are, okay, 600 to £1,000.
Yeah.
Probably.
So that's a sizable chunk gone already.
Yeah.
So even if you're on 1,800, that you still got like 1,200, maybe even less left. Okay.
To live on for the whole month.
And you got council tax.
Yeah.
You've got food.
Yep.
You've got electric and gas.
Yep.
Yeah. So.
And everybody's bill has gone up.
Everybody's bill's gone up. So you could be like, that could be another 3-4 bills gone.
Straight just on electricity and gas. No, but we haven't even gone to shopping yet.
They don't even want...
Or travel.
So, well, the thing is, I was listening briefly on the radio this morning, and a nurse actually called up.
Yeah.
And so she was saying, so I haven't had to go to a food bank because I've been lucky in the sense that I'll go to my mum, I'll go to my brother,
other people,
whatnot have you. She did go to a facility where it's like you pay £5 and you get like £15 worth of goods or something like that. However, once everything's been paid, so her food bill, living, everything, like, so all the essentials are out of the way.
Yeah.
For the month, this is a single mother, so she's recently separated. She's married but recently separated.
Right.
Single mother, 3 children. She has £75 for the month.
And look at that. So if one of the kids has a school trip,
you can't go and you're not going. You're not going. Meanwhile, this same MP is on £84,000.
And expenses.
And I tell you something, it's a lot easier to budget £84,000 than it is to budget £35,000, because once you take the basics out, you're still left with an amount where you're like, I can live.
But
I can enjoy.
He has his expenses paid. Your food, each time you go into work, everything is paid for. If all of her expenses were also paid, she'd actually be fine. But she doesn't have that luxury. So
I wonder if this dude even has a second.
He probably does, and he probably has an allowance for it as well. It's just, it's disgusting to even talk on somebody and say that they should be budgeting when you are on almost 3 times as much as them.
It's insane. And it's just another, and we're going to keep getting these examples. You know, when you're like, yo, they don't rate us.
No.
They don't rate us.
Well, I just think just basic living, I don't even know how he would come to that conclusion. Like just basic livings. If you're, as he's an MP, he has constituents, like just somebody coming to him and just laying out their basic costs, he'll be able to see this doesn't even make sense. And then nurses on top of that, people just going to work in a hospital, you don't even get free parking.
You don't get free parking. You go to your canteen food may be subsidized.
But it's not like, oh, I can get a meal for £2. Like, it's not heavily
and you
subsidized.
Can't claim that back anywhere. This is insane.
It's like, to actually be like, oh, you're just not budgeting right. So they should skimp on things so that they're not using food banks and still perform greatly and save people's lives. They should do all of that. They should be thinking about budgeting when they have people's lives in their hands.
I really hope that one of his constituents goes and presents their budget and asks them, how do I make this work?
I think other MPs need to really rail against people like him, because that's why they're unsafe. That's why MPs are always getting attacked and they're being threatened. It's because MPs like this say outlandish things that affect people's lives. Other MPs need to be like, this is not on. We need a code. You can't say things like this. Mm-hmm. For one, it's not true. And it's actually gaslighting. It's like, it's not okay. But they need to police each other on this, because it's their safety as well.
Well, we'll see what happens. Well, yeah, because as I'm thinking, the only thing I can hear in my head is that song, I Predict a Riot.
Yeah.
Because I think that's where we're at now. That's what
it's like they're trying to do. Yeah. It's like you're trying to stoke people. Yeah. Like
let's see how far we can go before people actually react. It's insane. All right. Our parenting conundrum. So let me read this to you. It's from a mother. I'm having trouble figuring out if I'm wrong or not. I've got 2 boys, 18 and 15. Both go to the same high school. My oldest has taken his bike or walked to school every single day. Never asked me for a ride. The school is too close for them to take the bus, about 3/4 of a mile. My youngest has insisted that I drive him to school every day. I woke him up today and I told him that I was sick and I couldn't drive him to school today. And I just woke up again and found out that he's still home. I'm really upset. He said it was cold, which granted it is, and it's snowing, and he wasn't going to walk in that. He says he doesn't have a sweatshirt to wear. I've got tons of sweatshirts I've bought him, and we're both the same size, so he could wear mine as well. But because they don't have a Nike logo, he won't put them on. Absolutely ridiculous. His brother isn't like this at all. I refuse to pay the money for branded wear, blah, 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 blah. Mind you, my youngest son wears pajama pants to school. Like, why? I don't know why that is a thing these days. He misses so much school, and I feel like he's using this as an excuse to stay at home, blaming it on me. It keeps happening. Am I being a bad parent? When I was a kid, I had to walk 3 miles to get to school if I was late. I know you told me off the other day for saying that somebody is a bad parent, but she really is a bad parent because this child is this way because you've allowed him to be this way.
I would agree on this. I mean, it's like he's just spoiled. And whose fault was that? Like, it's just, what do you expect now? He's 15. But what do? You can't do anything with him now. He's 15. That needed to be nipped in the bud ages ago.
Like, you've created this. You've absolutely created this, and now you're upset. What was interesting in the comments, people were calling her out for exactly the same thing, and she was coming back like basically gunning everybody that was like, "Yeah, you are a bit of a."
You have been taking him to school every day, where when you're sick, there isn't even a hustle of like, "Oh, mum's sick, can't take me." He's like, oh, "That means I don't go in." He's just spoiled. Like, what do you do? What can you do now? The discipline isn't there.
Yeah, this has to happen from early, because especially with a mother, like, how do you force your 15-year-old to do something that they don't want to do? Are you physically going to pick them up and remove them?
It's not going to happen. He's already out of it. Like, if he doesn't have the self-discipline to get him to school now, you can't parent that into a 15-year-old. He has to grow out of that in some capacity, or this is him. His personality is set. You can't beat a child to get to school at that age. Like, it's not going to happen. Because how are you going to do that? Are you going to do that every single day? Or you do put in measures where, okay, he's never going to take himself there alone. So then if I can't take him, we've got to find some type of a cab system. If you really want to, but I'm like, it's past that now.
But how was he not even leaving with his brother? Like, that alone is like...
He weren't going to school. Basically, she probably nags him to get to school in the first place and then has to drop him there. He weren't going to school. He was literally like, this is a free day. And as she said, he's been missing school. So he has 3 days all the time.
Insane.
It's long at this point. I don't even know why she's writing in. You know what the answer is.
Well, she just can't give up on her child. Like, she has to...
Try and think of other means. Maybe school isn't for him.
That's another valid point.
Think of some other things. Try and get to know, like, what else could he do? If he's gaming, turn that gaming into something that can sustain him in life.
One of the things people were saying in the comments was maybe he doesn't want to go to school because he's been bullied. And then she came back and she was like, that's not the case. And I've already thought of that. And I've actually been up to school to find out if that, and they were like, no. And then she also added, in all honesty, he's likely to be the bully.
That's exactly what came into my head when you said it. I was like, I didn't want to say it because it's a 15-year-old child, but what popped into my mind was, I bet he is the bully.
Yeah. So he's just running it everywhere. He's just running it everywhere.
And school may not be for him. That school isn't for everybody. So you're trying to force him to go into this school. It may not be the place for him, and maybe he's gonna bum it out for a few years, and then he'll get back. Life is short, but it's quite long at that point. Yeah. It's like, it's not for everybody to conform to this standard of they go to school. It's not. Find something else. There must be something that this child is enthusiastic about, that they're doing, that you can probably amplify, and that can, give him some hustle. Because you just don't want the hopelessness to become a rhythm in his life, because there are too many people that's them.
This is the thing, is like, with children, it's from early. From early, and you don't realize the foundations that you set for them. If you don't do that properly, you're going to get to this age and just have these... Like, the thing is, you can put these foundations in place, get to 15 and still have these problems. Yeah, definitely. You see what I'm saying? Definitely. But if you're not even doing that, boy, you're in trouble, man. You know what I mean? You're in trouble.
And it's just thinking outside of the box, because there isn't no magic wand to get anybody into school and liking it. There are just some kids that love it and some kids that don't. It's really thinking, what else is there then? Because there's other things. We're definitely living in a different time. And remember, the school system is actually not that old.
Yeah.
So for centuries, we were doing other things than sending our children to school. So think of some other ways to engage him.
It's interesting, because it wasn't too long ago that I was actually just sitting thinking, I was thinking about the boys and the likelihood of either of them going to university. Whereas when I was like their age or older, like, it was just like university was a given.
Yeah,
like,
this is the
path.
Yeah.
But now you realize, actually, it's not. Like, and there are so many other options and ways of living your life.
Yeah, yeah. And that can be supported. And this is the thing, is, you know, luckily they both love school. But if they really didn't, and they're young, I would be thinking from now, well,
Yeah.
what is the other alternative? What else can they progress in? How else can I keep them motivated and inspired and really want to be functioning in this world?
Yeah.
And that's all she has to really be thinking about. It's not, can I force this kid to get to school? Because you haven't done the greatest job of that. Think of something else. I'm not filing her under a bad parent, because she's still trying. And I think the only thing that I would put, you're really a bad parent, is when you are absolutely neglecting your child. So at least she's trying to
She's trying. Yeah. She's identified the problem. She's trying to rectify. So,
but she has to also take some responsibility.
Yeah.
That in order for my child to change, I also have to change.
Yeah. Well, thoughts and prayers to her.
Definitely thoughts and prayers.
Cool.
To both of them.
To all of them.
Yeah.
Everybody.
And even the older one.
Yeah. So that's another episode down.
Yeah.
Tomorrow we are at the halfway mark. 15 episodes.
15 episodes. There we go.
Another 15 to go. Thank you for everybody that has joined us today, and thank you to everybody that's joined us so far over the since we started this at the beginning of the year. It's been greatly appreciated. As always, follow us on the socials, for Evan's sake _. Please.
That's on Instagram and TikTok.
TikTok. And then also, please feel free to add your thoughts to the comments as well. We had some quite
good ones.
Yeah.
Extra inputs. So really enjoying reading you guys' comments as well. So please keep them coming.
Please do that. Have a wonderful day, and we will see you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow.
Bye-bye.